Welcome back to episode 76 of the P.S. Gilmore story. And this week we're looking at Gilmore's management. How did he set it up? How did he control such a successful band? And we'll be looking at it over the period of the life of the band. So this is going to be a little taste of what Gilmore was all about. Here is the management on the right hand side, the store that he had in partnership with Russell on Court Street in Boston, 61 Court Street. And at this premises, they sold instruments, books, and so on and so forth. Here they are, Gilmore and Russell, 61 Court Street, publishers and dealers in foreign and American music, any piece of music and musical works. To members of bands, it'll be a matter of interest to know that all musical instruments are offered for sale. But as well as that, the management of the band, Gilmore's quadrille band, any number of musicians furnished for private parties, balls, concerts, on application to P.S. Gilmore. This is 10 years after Gilmore arrived in Boston. This is prior to the Civil War. At the same time, Gilmore realized that there was a need for books to be published, and here was the first set of P.S. Gilmore's brass band music, published in 1859 in that premises, and it proved to be a success. Now, whether it was published for different instruments, we don't know at the moment, because this moment in time, I have only one of these books in my possession. But anyway, each of these books had 12 pieces of music, and so that was the first management. Second management was, for instance, here we have a receipt from the Ancient and Honourable Artillery in Boston, and this started in the mid-1860s, that is, 1860s. P.S. Gilmore is the leader and conductor, but he has an agent who takes the bookings, who minds the money, who, in some cases, if he isn't well, who will take over the baton. Here's Gilmore from 1878. We've made a big jump here because to some degree I've covered the Jubilees and previous documentaries. This is a very important piece of contract here. J.B. Pond at the top. Sole agent for Henry Ward Beecher Lectures. But this is the contract that Gilmore had in 1882 with J.B. Pond. And it specifically mentions how many times they are to perform, etc., etc. It lays out the criteria under which, the parameters under which he will perform. This is Henry Ward Beecher, I mentioned a second ago, the biggest client of J.B. Pond, and you'll see proof of that in a second. He spoke out in anti-slavery movements, and his Plymouth church was a huge attraction before, during, and after the Civil War. Here is a check, an original check from 1882, made out to P.S. Gilmore, $75, and signed by Pond and Edwards. And thankfully, Gilmore cashed it because it is endorsed on the back. Here is from 1887, and it shows to you how Gilmore was, if you like, reinventing marketing. This actual letter is divided into sections, so I'm able to put the top and the bottom together, the heading and the sign off. But you see how colourful it is. This is 3D almost to someone from that period. And to give you an idea of what sort of businessman Gilmore was, here's a letter from, actually I have 4 pages of it, from 1888 to Blakely, One of the managers that would manage Gilmore throughout his career, his name was Zeb Blakely. And it is from 1888, and this poor man has just had an accident, and so on. When the band was on tour, they would write, the advance ticket agent or whatever would write back to Blakely and report what exactly was going on. In this case, you see a chorus of 250 voices is been ordered. In other occasions, curtains, maybe pianos or whatever it is. This is a letter in 1889, and the price per capita for the round trip from St. Louis to San Francisco and return is $98 per band member. Imagine $98, and some of these bands were up to 75 members. The very last one was 100. Now at the top of this one, this is called the proposed route for the band, and you see Albuquerque, Trinidad, and other locations down to Wichita. This is what they called a tour. It was the route of the railroad, and these were on the railroad line at that time. Here it is from California, Sacramento, 2 gigs. San Francisco, 1 and 2 is 3 and 2 is 5 and 2 is 7. San Jose after that, then Stockton, California. And on the next column, you see the populations. San Francisco at that time had a population of, wait for it, 365,000 people. Little things that you mightn't think of. When they would arrive in a particular destination, they would need to have transportation arranged in advance, and that was done by the ticket agents. So that was a transportation order where they would pick up not only the people but all the equipment, and even $2. They would charge $2 for each of the cannons that were traveling on board with the band. 1889, from one of the many fireproof hotels. Where is this exactly? I can't remember. This one here is coincidental because it ties in with the arrival of Edward Strauss in 1890, and it mentions here that the ministers in Newark are basically going against the concert. They're banning the concert because Sunday maybe is a holy day or whatever. Manhattan Beach Hotel, and this is from 1888, and this shows a couple of things. Number one, the attention has been given to the management of the band, and the second thing is when the letter arrives, it is stamped, answered when it is answered. Here's an example of the detail of the performances. These were handed out to the attendees at a concert. So you could pick your favorite overture or another piece, then it would go to a vote, and Gilmore's band would play on demand an overture as demanded by the crowd. Here's the full letter of that demand. So it was an extremely complicated, complex event to organize all of this. How Gilmore actually did it, I do not know. I mean, there was so many things going on. One of the things that he was totally different to, particularly with other band leaders like Sousa and so on and so forth, is someone like Sousa gave the management of the band over to the manager. In Gilmore's case, they managed the band only when it was on tour. When it was in a location like Madison Square Garden, Manhattan Beach, or wherever, or St. Louis as an example, the band manager did not get a share of the takings because Gilmore didn't see why he should give away what he had worked hard to achieve and use to develop the band. So that's basically a quick story about the management of Gilmore's band. Hope you've enjoyed it, and listen, come back to me next week and I'll have another story from Gilmore's band and a story of P.S. Gilmore himself. Thank you. Click, like and subscribe. Bye now.